Hello everyone, this is Faith at Faith and Books. How are you doing? I'm just going to do kind of a chatty update and talk about the last 4 books that I've read. So you may notice I have new glasses. And I've been, I don't know when the last time I put up a video, it was a little over a week ago, I guess. And that was right as I was getting sick. So I've been sick ever since. So I'm still feeling, that's my dog scratching. That's his signal that he wants to get out of the crate. Is he gonna do that for the rest of the time? Let me let him out, hold on. All right, I let the dog out. Okay, so anyway, I forgot what I was saying. I've been sick, and it's been hard getting over it. I'm just today feeling better. So I'm hoping that I'm just gonna take it really easy, and hopefully I'll be good by Easter. My grandson came down with a bad flu, and he had it for about a week. Mine, it's mostly been just lots of severe headaches and extreme fatigue. So anyway, it's been rough. But in the midst of all this, though, on Saturday morning, my youngest daughter, and I guess my other kids too, had a surprise party for me. It was a surprise brunch. It was so nice. So my birthday was actually Sunday. I was sick on Sunday. I didn't get out of bed or get dressed or anything. But now I'm 65, yeah. So anyways, that was really, really sweet of them and of my youngest daughter. I think she spearheaded it. So yeah, so that was an event. Anyway, let me just talk about, I was going to talk about my glasses. So what was happening is my eyes are getting really, really strained. And I started to get these terrible headaches at night. Like every night I would just have a pounding headache and my eyes would just be so tired. And I realized, I guess around the middle of March, maybe a little bit later than that I just couldn't read in real life books anymore. So I had to give up a couple of books that I was in the middle of reading. Let's see, I was trying to read this one, the first book by Anthony Trollope. You have to excuse my nails. I painted them and then I've been sick, so they're all chipped and everything. I haven't gotten around to fixing them. Anyway, The McDermotts of Ballycloran. I started to read this. I got to chapter 5 and I realized that I couldn't continue to read them. Even though the type print is kind of big, it's yellowed and my eyes just couldn't read anything. That wasn't really big. But at it's got a lot of dialect and like obscure references because it's set in Ireland. And at the back of the book, they have this key explanatory notes, and they were in really tiny print. And I really needed them to understand the story. So I gave up on this. I mean, that's just on hold. It's not a DNF. I was also trying to read Hebrews, the study on Hebrews, but just such tiny print, I couldn't. So I had to give up on this too. But those are just, they're soft DNFs because I do still want to read them. So then I guess the last 2 books that I talked about were The Fellowship of the Ring, which was audio, and what was the other one? The Tenant of Wildfeld Hall, which was on my Kindle. So I decided I was just going to do audio and Kindle. So of the 4 books that I've completed since then, 3 were Kindle and 1 was audio. So now what did I do with, I'm missing a whole set of books here. Okay, hold on. So I keep having to get up. And then I lose my train of thought. So let's see, what happened next? So I decided to just move on to the next volume of The Lord of the Rings, and I was listening to it. I forgot to make sure that it was the same narrator. So I believe the narrator that I listened to for The Fellowship of the Ring was a guy named Robert Inglis. I might not have that exactly right. And I didn't pay attention, and so the next audio that I got was by a guy named Andy Serkis. Not S-I-R-C-U-S, but C-I-R-C-U-S, that would be Serkis. No, it's S-E-R-K-U-S, something like that. Anyway, he's he's a little bit too melodramatic in the way he reads. But the problem was I was sick and I had this terrible headache. So I couldn't wear my glasses. I couldn't put on my headphones. So I was just listening to it on my phone, like with the volume way up. And his voice for the orcs was like needles in my head. I just had too much of a headache. So I had to put that also on hold. So I've sort of stalled on this. I'm hoping to get back to it maybe after Easter. I can start this up again. Anyway, so April came around and I wanted to start reading certain books in April. The two that I really had planned were The Circular Staircase by Mary Roberts Reinhardt. That we were reading for the Faded Pages book club. And we're going to do a whole thing about with Mary Roberts Reinhardt. So, and I didn't know all this. Sean Standfast did. That Mary Roberts Reinhardt wrote The Circular Staircase, which got turned into a play called The Bat, which was then novelized by, well, it was ghostwritten by Stephen Vincent Benet, but it says that it's by Mary Roberts Reinhardt and somebody else, Avery Hapgood or something like that. And and they made a series of movies based on this. So there's at least 3 movies that are related. And The Bat was the inspiration. It's not exactly the same thing for Batman. So I really like Mary Roberts Reinhardt. She was called the Agatha Christie of America, but she started writing 20 years earlier. The Circular Staircase, let me open this up, was published, I believe, if I'm remembering right, in 1908. Let's see, where is it? I've done a lot since, so why is it doing it like this? Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, The Circular Staircase. So I really enjoyed The Circular Staircase. This was a reread for me. And it was fun. It's just a really fun story, just a romp. She writes, her mysteries tend to just have so many things going on. And she writes it from the point of view of this older spinster aunt who raised her niece and nephew, and her niece and nephew are now young adults, and they decide she's having renovations done to her apartment in the city, so she doesn't usually go out to the country for the summertime like most people. But her niece and nephew talk her into renting this house out in the country, right near a country club. So I guess one of the nephew plays lots of golf. But the house seems to be haunted. There's all these crazy things happening, and then a murder happens. And so it's the whole unraveling of that. And it was just really well told. And she's got this sort of biting sense of humor, but a kind heart underneath. And she's just relating all this stuff as it unfolds. And it was a fun read. I really enjoyed it. It was a reread, but I hadn't remembered a whole lot of it. So The Circular Staircase by Mary Roberts Reinhardt, her first mystery novel. So I quite enjoyed it. And then, and I've gone on since to try to read The Bat, which is the novelization of the play. I don't have the play. And this happened several years later, because I think this was published in 1908. And then I think the Bat wasn't until 1928 or something. I could be wrong. But I don't really like the writing of The Bat. It's really overwritten, and it's more tell, don't show. And it does seem like it's from a play, so it's like trying to fill in, and it's different. Like there's a lot of different characters with different names, but similar to the Circular Staircase. So I don't know, I was having trouble paying attention to it, sticking to it, so I've kind of abandoned it for now, but maybe I'll get back to it in a little bit. But anyway, that's kind of on hold too, just because it wasn't, I so enjoyed The Circular Staircase, and then the novelization of the play based on The Circular Staircase, it just isn't as good. So what's going on with my Kindle? Why isn't it being responsive? Okay, so that was The Circular Staircase. And then I was doing a buddy read of Elizabeth and Her German Garden. Oh, and I don't have the book. I have this wonderful 1913 edition of the book, and with the handwritten inscription in it. And I was so excited to read this book. I thought it was, I don't know what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a charming book about gardens. It started out being like that. It's by Elizabeth von Arnim. And I got a number of people to read it with me as a buddy read. So we had a little Voxer group. And some liked it better than others. I was flat out disappointed. I was really disappointed in the book. It starts out lovely, but it's funny because some people in the group, they the garden writing was fine, but they really wanted personalities. And but the more we got to know the people, including Elizabeth, the less I liked them. And I didn't want to hear about their petty meanness to other people. They were like poor rich, people, because she was married to a German count. So she was a countess. So she loved living out in the country on their estate, which is now part of Poland, but was Germany then. And all the descriptions, all that stuff I loved. But her interactions with other people, like at first I was really sympathetic to her, like, oh, she's just an introvert and she's thrown into a situation where she has to socialize. But it was too mean, and her husband turned out to be odious. Couldn't stand him. I couldn't stand her way of interacting with people. I understand, being an introvert, but not being unkind and mean. And she didn't see herself like that. She was always the victim. It was always like, and she befriended this one woman, and their whole thing was making fun of other people. That was their relationship, making fun of other people, to the point where she makes fun of the customs for your birthday, like the way they celebrate your birthday, which was just simple things where people would give you simple gifts for breakfast, and you'd have some kind of a birthday party or whatever. And they literally, their friendship was like making fun of people for giving them little gifts. Like, I just didn't like her at all. I did not want to hear about, although it was interesting. Somebody pointed out in the group that it's interesting to see, I have no idea what life was like for a German countess at the turn of the last century. So I guess that part was interesting, but it wasn't enough. There wasn't enough of that. There wasn't enough of the beautiful writing about gardens that to rescue the book for me. So it's the most disappointing book I've read so far. I was really let down. So yeah, that was not, and I couldn't read it. My eyes were so bad I could not read it in that vintage copy. So I wound up again reading it on my Kindle here. So, and the Kindle version had some typos and stuff, like the, what do they call it? The formatting was, every once in a while was a little bit off. Like there'd be a weird character all of a sudden, or you could tell that they had just missed a word, that kind of thing. So it wasn't 100% a good copy on the Kindle here. Anyway, so Circular Staircase, Elizabeth and Her German Garden, what a disappointment. And then I guess I'm doing this chronologically. Then the next book that I finished was, this was such a nice discovery. So I'd given up on Anthony Trollope's The McDermotts of Ballycloran. Then I thought, why don't I try and find it on audio? But I couldn't. I could not find this on audio. I can find his next novel, his second novel, but I couldn't find this one. So I looked through my mom's Trollope books, which, if you don't know the story, my mom had just a small selection of Trollope books that I guess she couldn't get out of the local library, and so she bought them. And they were lost for years after she passed away. We didn't know where they were. My sister, a couple of summers ago, found them in a box in her basement. And so I'm just sort of keeping them for the family in my library, and I'm trying to read through them. I'm doing it very, very slowly. So I looked through here, through the shelf where I keep all this stuff, and I found this one, and it was on audio. So this is Sir Harry Hotspur of Humblethwaite. That's hard to say. And I thought, oh, well, this is pretty short. I'll just listen to this. The reader was excellent for this. I wish I knew his name. This kind of got me through the last two books that I finished, really got me through feeling just really when I was at my sickest and I really couldn't even get out of bed. This was wonderful. It has very strong Lily Dale vibes, if you've ever read The Small House at Allington. And I thought, oh, he's just retelling the Lily Dale aspect. But no, there's a difference. And very touching. There's a really touching father-daughter scene that brought tears to my eyes, and it's very poignant. So I really enjoyed reading this, and I felt quite victorious that I'd gotten another Anthony Trollope under my belt. So I really appreciated this one. If you want to read a shorter Anthony Trollope, I highly recommend this one. It's quite touching. So then the last book that I want to talk about, that I finished. So this was when I was really struggling to get over the this flu, because I knew my daughter was coming down from Philadelphia with her husband, and they were going to take me out to lunch, or brunch rather. And I had horrible migraines, and I was really struggling, but I made it. And we went to this restaurant that we'd eaten at before, and we went up the steps, and I turned the corner, and there was a surprise party. It was, a lot of family and people I hadn't seen in ages were there, and it was really, really sweet. But I came home from that. I managed to talk to everybody, and I just utterly collapsed. And like for the next 2.5 days, I was just in bed. It was awful. I didn't go to Palm Sunday service or anything. I don't even know when I'm going to get to this Easter, like for Holy Thursday or Good Friday. I want to go to confession, and I want to just make it to the Easter Vigil. And I don't think I'm going to do anything else because I just have to rest. I've just been so tired. So anyway, so let's see, what was the next thing that I read? Hold on. So I had started the book beforehand because I was thinking, what can I read that, I don't know where it went. Wait, let me look for it. What could I read for the state? So I've been trying to read a book for each state. The last one I read was the autobiography of Catherine, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting her last name. Henderson? Is that right? She was one of the Hidden Figures, the movie. Anyway, I'd read that, and now I was thinking I should try to read something for Maryland. Why isn't it coming up? Am I in the store? No, it was on my Kindle. I don't understand why it's not coming up. Come on. Yeah, is that it? Yeah, okay. Yes, this is it, Manhunt. You see how big I make the character so that I can read it. But anyway, this was a book about the hunt for John Wilkes Booth, who of course assassinated Lincoln. And it was gripping. Like when I started reading it, I was like, this is so incredibly interesting. Because even though I knew bits and pieces of the story, I actually worked next door to Ford's Theater for a few years. So I know that area pretty well in DC. And this could also have been Virginia, because he winds up being caught in Virginia, but he hides out for a lot of the 12 days he's hiding in Southern Maryland. So that's why this counted for the Maryland book. Anyway, it was very gripping. As I was reading it, I thought that the author was a little bit, what's the word I want? Cheesy about trying to draw out the suspense. And he made a lot of like allusions that didn't quite work. And I don't know, it was a little bit overdone. I thought as I was reading, like at first I was like really gripped by it. But also he's extremely sympathetic to John Wilkes Booth, I found it a little bit creepy. So, yeah. But other than those two things, it was just very informative. And I really, really enjoyed it. And even the parts that are set in Virginia, when we drive down to the Outer Banks, I don't like to go on 95. So I go the back ways, and I go along the Rappahannock, and I go by Port Royal, which is near where he was finally caught. So all these places had, familiarity to me. So anyway, it was a very, very interesting book. So that was Manhunt, The 12-Day Chase for Lincoln's Killer by James L. Swanson. I don't even know if I said that at first. So that was the third book that I read on my Kindle that I finished. And then then my audio was this one. So 4 books, and I managed to talk too long. I'm sorry. I've just been rambling. Anyway, I also, because I couldn't read the fine print in my essay on the development of Christian doctrine, look at that tiny print, I also put that on my Kindle. So I started to try to read it, but it is heavy duty stuff, very high Victorian language, very deep stuff. And my brain fog, my brain is just couldn't handle it. I can't process it. So I've taken a break from it, and I'm hoping after Easter, when that's all done, I'll be able to really get back and read it. And so I've just not been very active on the Discord. So yeah, that's just unfortunate, but that's the way it is. So I put that on hold too. So the 2 things I'm reading right now is I started listening to Ayala's Angel on audio, and I follow along. This is another book of my mother's, and getting really into it. What chapter am I on? This might not match up with. Yeah, I'm way beyond this. Rome. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'm up to I'm somewhere in the middle of chapter 7. Anyway, really enjoying this one too. The reader is a woman, and she's kind of monotone, but it's okay. She's okay. So not as good as the guy who read this one. Anyway, so I'm doing another Anthony Trollope right now. And then for some reason, I was watching Cozy, I always forget the name of your channel, Madeline. I'm sorry. It's Cozy Cottage Chapters. I think that's what it is. Madeline, it's a fairly new channel. She's just delightful. And she was talking about her cottage core, like a list of books that were cottage core. And for some reason, it reminded me of, I guess, the books that make me feel that sort of vintage, cottagey, old-fashioned feeling. And it reminded me of The House of Seven Gables for some reason. And I've been wanting to reread that. And so I started rereading The House of Seven Gables. So that's what I'm reading on my Kindle, The House of Seven Gables by Nathaniel Hawthorne. And I'm listening to Ayala's Angel by Anthony Trollope. And then I should say, I finished this. Actually, I was too sick for the last meeting for this, the early church history that I was doing with with a group at church. But I did manage to listen to the last video on it, and I should go back and finish reading it. I don't think I quite finished reading it. But yeah, so this is officially over. And that means that after Easter, I'm going to start teaching myself Hebrew, as well as I'm going to start reading this. And I might just stick to the Kindle version of it, because even though I have new glasses, and I just got them yesterday, and they're actually really good. Maybe I can read this. But I'm having other problems with my eyes. So I went to the eye doctor to get new prescriptions, and he said, well, not only do you need new prescriptions, but your dry eyes have gotten really bad. They're really bad. Like right now, my eyes are so scratchy. But I just put drops in them. but I have to put drops 4 times a day. And the other thing is that the lenses that I got put in for my cataract surgery might be fogging up. And there's some kind of procedure where they clean your lenses. So that might also be contributing to my eye problems. So I don't have an appointment to look at that until May 6th. So anyway, so between my dry eyes and the bad prescription, or needing a new prescription, and the fogging lenses, yeah, I'm having a hard time with my eyes. So I don't know. I think I have to be really careful with my eyes and pick and choose. This is really heavy duty reading. And so maybe, see, I wanted the printed version so I could underline and make notes and stuff. And maybe I'll still do that. But I don't know. Maybe I'm going to read it on my Kindle and just take notes. I have to figure out what I'm going to do. Anyway, so I'm doing that after Easter, and then I'm going to just have a fun dabble in learning really, really simple intro Hebrew. And I'm looking forward to that too. So, okay, I've talked way, way, way too much. Sorry about that. I hope you have a blessed Holy Week if you celebrate it, and Happy Easter if you celebrate it, and Happy Passover if you celebrate that. We haven't done anything for Passover this year. First time ever since I've been married that we have done nothing. But it's just the timing of it and the fact that I'm sick and I'm usually the one that's organizing it. So yeah. So I hope you're doing well, and I guess I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.